If you're not new here, then you know every week we have a new poll, and that is generally the topic of the day. And this week the poll is: what worries you the most about voiceover in 2025? And we got a lot of votes. Votes are still coming in. We got about 31 so far. And I'm actually surprised by your responses. I thought that AI taking voice jobs would have been the biggest concern, but I'm proud of you for not thinking that. But it is still a concern. So I'm not devaluing your concern. Here I go, overthinking again. Okay, so let's just get to the polls. 27% of you said AI taking voice jobs. 9% of you said too many new narrators. 9% of you said staying updated with tech. And then 55% of you said finding consistent work. Okay, so let's tackle finding consistent work, since that seems to be the major concern. I'm having an internal battle right now. First and foremost, we have to remember that this is a business. And with any business, finding consistent work is always going to be the number one goal, concern, hence marketing, right? I don't know of any business that has consistent work. It is going to fluctuate, as will any business on the planet. There will be good months, there will be bad months. Having consistent work is also going to depend on your availability, your schedule, your ability to take on X amount of work. And everybody's definition of consistent or sufficient is going to differ. But of course, the best thing that you can do to be sure that you're getting enough work or consistent, whatever that definition is for you, is to market yourself. And in marketing yourself, I mean being visible. There are many different platforms in which you can, upload a bio, have a profile, upload a bio, have your demos available. You are visible on all of these platforms. And when I say all, there's over 100 of them, of different voiceover platforms. And that includes the freelance marketplaces that we talk about quite often, which is Fiverr, Upwork, Guru, Freelancer. There's a ton of them. And then we have voiceover specific platforms like Voice123, Badalgo. I mean, there's over 100 of different platforms that you can be visible on to find work, to solicit work, right? Some of them you can be a little bit proactive on and actually bid on jobs like Upwork. Some of the pay-to-plays you can too, but you have to be a paying member in order to audition, to actively audition. Otherwise, you're just kind of sitting there waiting for someone to find you, right? Either way, you're visible. I still think, and we talk about this a lot, is making yourself visible on social media, because that is where most everybody is in some way, shape, or form, in either finding information, looking for a little distraction, entertainment. If you think about some of these social media platforms, like, I know Facebook was huge back in the day for finding information, but now people are going to Instagram, TikTok, all of these social media platforms to find information, and at the same time get a little distraction. Maybe you're on a coffee break at work and you just want a little distraction for 10 seconds. They're going to social media. So therefore, that means that you as a business owner need to go where the eyes are, and that is social media. making social media content, giving a little bit of a behind the scenes peek at what a voice actor does or an audiobook narrator does. Making it known that you are available, you are there, you are present, you are reachable, right? Being present on social media. And also you reaching out to clients yourself. And that is going back, that is touching on one of the poll questions that I posted in the posts section of my channel here, was finding direct clients. Reaching out to them yourself, right? There's no real easy or magic button. You just have to do a little bit of research, go on to Google and search out some of these companies that you want to work with and reach out to them. You know, it's really not as difficult as we make it in our heads. Reaching out to authors that don't already have an audiobook version of their novel or whatever it is that you're looking at. Reach out to them. You can, it's allowed. And also, going back to social media, making connections with people on social media, other narrators, other voice actors, and then in turn, finding like where the authors hide, being part of those connections too. Making yourself a resource of information for author groups, right? Making yourself visible in any way, shape, or form that you can imagine, any way, shape, or form that is available or easy for you, any way that you can think of. But being visible as much as possible is going to help you to start to build that book of business. Because once you start reaching out to these clients directly, then you also have the added benefit of referrals, repeat business, right? So that all starts with making yourself visible in it as many ways as possible. And then eventually it will become as consistent as you want it to be, but it's still going to fluctuate, right? So I don't even like using the word consistent for, business income, because it never really is. It could be X amount this month and X amount this month. It's going to fluctuate. Pumping the brakes on that tangent. Okay. The next topic about AI taking voice jobs. As I've said before, it's starting to, there's a line forming between AI voices and real voice actor voices. It's just like if you think about the example I gave the last time we talked about this, about, photography or video making. There's a kind of a fast and dirty, it's not quite right, but it'll suffice for what I'm doing for AI work. And then there is high quality, emotion, accents, connection to the script. And that is the high value voice actor. So there's two different categories for AI and voice acting. And that line is becoming more and more solidified every day. And I think the last time we met up here, was it last week or the week before, where we talked about YouTube starting to demonetize channels that were just completely AI. Although it doesn't directly affect voiceover, it's a step in the right direction. So I think that further solidifies that line between AI and having no human, emotion or connection at all, and genuine voice acting. It's definitely a step in the right direction. As far as having too many new narrators, we have to remember that a lot of narrators, and I'm sure you've probably reached this point yourself if you're watching this, but there was probably a point where you said, geez, this is a lot more work than I thought. I don't know if I can sustain this, or I don't know if, I watched this social media person say that I can make $400 an hour in my PJs just by using my iPhone. That's not really reality. I don't want to do this. But they've already created a couple, profiles because they were gung-ho about it, maybe recorded a couple demos and then discovered it was too much work, but never removed themselves from the pool of narrators or removed their profile or never did anything, to remove themselves from the pool. So when you go onto these platforms to find work and you see that there are, 2 billion narrators, don't let that number scare you. A good chunk of those people are not active, have changed their mind. They don't want to do it anymore. It's too much work. They don't, that person on social media, that clickbait video they watched was a liar. They discovered that it was not accurate, that their heart's not really in it. They don't want to do it anymore. So don't let that number scare you. Because if this is something that you truly want to do, then the AI thing shouldn't bother you. The number of new narrators shouldn't bother you. None of these things should bother you. If this is something that you truly want to do, and this is more for you than just making $1 or $2, then none of this stuff is going to matter. Because you are going to find a way to get the education, to train yourself, to learn how to find those emotional depths and harness them to be the best voice actor that you can be, to be the best audiobook narrator that you can be. And that you want to do this, so you want to reach out and find new business. You want to reach out to new authors. And, hey, I see that you don't have an audiobook version of, this book. Make sure you give them the title. You've done your research on it. I think this would be a really good fit for me. And here's a sample of my voice. Let me know what you think. It doesn't have to be as difficult as you're making it out to be, right? Just reach out to people. But if this is something you truly want to do, none of these factors are going to stop you or dissuade you or change your mind. This is what it really comes down to. The tech thing is a whole different ball of wax, because tech is constantly changing. Tech is constantly changing and updating and getting better and improving. But I tell you, from my standpoint, as far as tech goes, I'm one of those people that if it ain't broke, I don't need to upgrade my interface or my microphone every 6 months to keep on top of new tech. What I have works. This microphone I've had for 6-7 years now, and it still works just fine. I have no need to update my tech. This interface I've had for maybe 2 years now, but I still have my old stuff just in case as a backup, which I recommend, by the way, having backup stuff.